You ready?
Yeah, let's do this. Hey everybody, Brie Milani here with Sky Insurance on another episode of the Greatness Podcast, and I am so excited. We are actually back at Evergreen, and this time we are interviewing the one and only Kristen Hewitt.
Oh, you're so funny.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. I'm super excited to have you on. I know we talked a little bit about, what is it? What are we doing? What is this? And it's like a super exciting time to kind of get to know you a little bit more. I mean, I've known you for, I think, 8 years now.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I was saying, I don't think I know how long you've been in the industry or why you got in this industry. So I was kind of excited to get to know you a little bit deeper.
Great.
Yeah, so I've known you
Happy
8
to be
years.
here.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I know in the last couple years you've had a lot of more like personal stuff go on in your life. So why don't you tell us a little about your personal life and things like that?
Yeah, great. So, nearly 3 years ago, I came over to Evergreen Home Loans with my one of my very dear friends, Stanitza Halverson.
She's
and
wonderful.
I know we're BFFs, and we've known each other forever. And back from my wholesale days, and we'll get into that, I guess, a little bit later. But I came over here to Evergreen. Absolutely love it. We're building a large team here. We've got a great family teamwork. Team-oriented kind of philosophy here and culture. And I'm super happy to be here. I'm sales manager and I've got 3 people under me now, which is great, and an assistant. Cool. And I really like mentoring, and I've got some great up-and-coming loan officers. One's pretty seasoned. The other 2 are fairly new into the industry, and I love watching them grow and helping train them. On a personal note, my girls are now both grown and getting married this year. My oldest daughter, Mackenzie, was married in March. Unfortunately, we had to push back the wedding a couple of times, but that's the story. But wonderful new son-in-law, Nick, and I just love them to death. And they actually just bought a home up in Vancouver, Washington, where he's from.
That's exciting. I don't think I knew that. That's awesome.
They met in San Diego. She'd gone to school down there, graduated from San Diego State, and a couple years later, met Nick. He was in the Marine Corps.
Oh, wow.
And he had one last long deployment, and then they were pen pals for 6 months while he was on ship. And they came back, moved in, got engaged, and they're married. Their wedding was absolutely beautiful in San Diego. It was like Carlsbad area.
Gorgeous.
And it was great. And he's just a wonderful addition to our family. And I love that he's military too, like her dad. Mm-hmm. And just a great, great guy all around. And they moved up there, and he's actually going to the police academy soon.
Oh, wow. Good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah, Mackenzie has a wonderful job at a marketing company and just really thriving in her career. And I'm so happy for them. And they got their home loan through Evergreen.
Woo!
I sent them to
They're big in Washington, I know, right?
Yeah, that's our home quarters. So I sent them to a loan officer in the Vancouver area, and she took great care of them. And they bought VA, and they got their offer accepted on the first house they bid on, which I mean
that doesn't happen
here.
Yeah, where we're from.
Yeah. So they're doing great. I'm just super happy for them. And then my younger daughter Courtney is getting married in December.
Oh, wow.
Just a few weeks.
Winter wedding.
And she's marrying a wonderful guy named Brock, another great son-in-law addition to our family. And they bought a house they live in Reno. They bought a house earlier this year as well. Wow. And I sent them to Pam, the manager of our Reno office, and she took great care of my kids there too. So I'm loving the fact that they have Evergreen loans, which is great. But I was entrusting them with people that I know and respect in my industry and within my own company to take care of my kids. And it was great.
Yeah.
And I love their house. And
you're like, I'd love to, but you're in 2 different states.
I know.
So
I wish I was licensed there.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Yeah. Hey, not a bad thing. A lot of people are.
Yeah.
And, it's great. It kind of speaks to Evergreen. I know a few years ago, I didn't know who Evergreen was. I mean, it was kind of like, I remember a few people started there, and then it just kind of, I wouldn't say overnight. I think they grew very smart. They didn't just grow too big, but they grew to a point where it's like, wow, you guys are really dominating this area. I mean, everyone knows who Evergreen is now, thanks really to this team and everybody in Roseville as well.
Definitely, yeah. Us, Roseville, Elk Grove, we all try to attend functions, golf tournaments and things,
Yeah, you do a great
sponsorships.
job.
And we try to come as a team with a big splash, and we're all happy to be there working together. Even though we're in different offices, we all collaborate. Everyone does their part. Everyone supports each other, which is great. And we just love getting out there and doing community work.
You do a lot, yeah.
We do. We enjoy, sponsoring things. PCAR, SAR, Masters, any charitable things that we can do. We just really enjoy that. And I think it comes
Bar Up
very
the other day, or a couple weeks ago.
And I think that the things that we do here come from the heart, and we're very selective of who we bring on and who's going to join our great team, and we just try to really make sure that their culture is right. And our company is owned by John Burton now for 33 years.
I met him one time actually at Kelly's grand opening in Elk Grove. Would have no idea. I didn't know he was the owner. And then later Kelly's like, that's the owner of our company. I'm like, no, humble, just such a nice guy.
Very, very nice guy. Yeah, I'm just really blessed to be here. I'm very happy, and it feels like home. And this is my intention is to never leave and this be my last stop in my career.
Yeah, which is amazing. Sounds like you're in a good spot and you have great leaders here. I mean, everybody, and it really does. I mean, I go to a lot of offices and meet a lot of people, but you kind of know where people are like genuinely happy. I mean, a lot of people that have been here for a long time or, since really this has started here, and that speaks volumes in this industry. It's so easy. People get recruited left and right every single day. So it speaks volumes to you guys really staying here as a team, and everybody I talk to that works here, it has the same outlook you do. It's awesome.
I got to experience, just to share a little bit more about like the team and the leadership. I was fortunate. I mean, obviously last year was great, and I made President's Club, and we had to postpone we had to postpone our trip to October. Hawaii's a little strict with everything, but just going there and experiencing a week with the leadership and the top performers, producers in our company, and seeing how their teams grow and what strategies they use to close more loans and, create a wonderful experience for the customer. Great panel of people, great awards night, and then just got some one-on-one time with some top performers. And I really appreciated that. And then, of course, we had some fun time, and I went zip lining and did a lot of fun.
I know you're like, we went on all these adventures.
I did.
Like, I'm so jealous.
Rode a Harley for a few days around the island. It was amazing.
That sounds amazing.
And it was beautiful. Weather was perfect. So that was great. And it was nice to be recognized, but also just the experience of being with all those great people, because we haven't had a chance to be together in large groups like that. And typically, we would go up to home office for big parties or maybe a sales conference, and we just haven't been able to do that the last 2 years. So Hawaii was amazing. It was great to have that experience.
I loved all the pictures. I was like, I want to be there. That looks amazing. And it's cool. I mean, there's like a saying, I know I probably not say it correctly, but it's like surround yourself with the people that you want to be like, or like you strive to be one day. And it's like surrounding yourself with top producers. It's like, how inspiring is that for you to be like, okay, we had an amazing year last year, but I wanted to have an even better year this year. You see these people doing all this business and you're like,
I know.
Wow, like it's incredible. And then, it's here, I feel like people do a lot of business, but you get people from like in other states or even like down in LA. I mean, then it's just insane the amount of business done. Here we do a good amount of business, but just price points and things like that. I know when I talk to people, it's like so inspiring to see people even from other states. It's amazing. Yeah. So
some of our biggest producers, the one is in Southwest Vegas office, and she just kills it there.
That's amazing.
She reminds me of another female mentor that I used to work with for many years.
I think I know who
you know who that is. Very, very similar and like-minded. And then Boise, Idaho, they kill it up there. I guess because the numbers that they produce.
From here is
I know that too.
But all our people.
Yeah, they've always been a really strong team. But yeah, exactly. All the people exiting California and moving to Idaho.
Right.
I'm sure that's boosted their business too.
Oh yeah, I see it every other day. I feel like where are you moving? Idaho. Our neighbor, just the other day I'm walking and I see a for sale sign, and of course I'm nosy. I'm like, hey, you guys coming or going? I've never met him before. He's like, oh, we're leaving. I said, where are you going? Idaho. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like pretty much the trend these days. So it's awesome though, just to see, other states do things, and it's cool. Just, we're here, and it's cool to see other perspectives in other states. I know right before we started this, we were talking a little bit about, going back to like when you got in this industry, which obviously was so different than when you started versus what it is now. So how long have you been in the industry, and kind of take me through like your journey into this industry?
Okay. So, probably the biggest reason that I turned to mortgage is my mom was a loan officer and office manager, underwriter, and then a vice president of a company. Gosh, she started in the 70s.
Wow.
So
I
I'm
don't
going
think
to
I knew
date
that. That's
myself.
cool.
I remember being in her office and just going and, oh, let me help you file when I was little, like after school, and, let me do this or that. And I was just became like one of the kids in the office, and really got to know her team. And they stayed together for many, many years. Their first company was Central Pacific Mortgage, 5150 Sunrise.
Oh my
I
gosh,
worked there
that's
too.
awesome.
And so during my college years, when I was here locally, I worked in the underwriting department as an assistant. My sister worked in shipping. Other friends were in different departments and things, and it was kind of a family atmosphere. I left the mortgage industry, went to another company and joined their marketing department for a few years, which was really fun, and I learned quite a bit. But I just was kind of sucked back in.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how it does that?
Yeah. So I went back to work for Dan Silverstein. Fair Oaks Mortgage, aka Mortgage Process Center, was their company then, and my mom, and was doing some processing and things like that, and just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And in walks Kathy Mitchell Cervantes, you know her, and said, "Why don't you come work with us at Long Beach Mortgage and be a wholesale rep?" So this was 1997.
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to take a leap of faith." And she goes, "Just trust me, just get into this now." And I'd known her briefly, not for very long, but I thank her every
Okay,
time
I'll
I think
trust
about
you.
it. And so I went to work for Long Beach Mortgage, and I was a wholesale rep, schlepping subprime loans,
Oh my
but
gosh.
it was a wonderful time to learn the business and call on brokers. I cold called. I didn't have a list of clients. They just said, "Here, try these brokers,
who we
call on
want."
them, knock on the door, and see if you can get some loans." And it turned out to be a wonderful career. Washington Mutual bought us in '99. And of course, we were a publicly traded company. The numbers were just off the charts. Everyone was doing so much business, President's Clubs and trips, and here's stock and everything. Well, unfortunately, that stock took a quick dive like overnight. And, we made it through a few layoffs. But in 2008 was finally, shut down, the subprime and then the prime industry. And then WAMU just basically closed its doors. I thought I was going to retire a Wamaluyan. It was
is that
a
what they were
wonderful,
called?
yeah, that's what we called ourselves.
So cute.
We had such a wonderful time. It was fun. It was an exciting time to be in the business. Obviously, there was lots of volume. There was lots of money, and people buying things like bigger houses. Then one day, the wall comes crashing down. And at the time, my husband was also in new construction, and we had a real wide awakening because we had one kid heading off to college in a year.
Oh gosh.
I was laid off. My husband was laid off, and it was like, whoa, all that, just came to a screeching halt. And so, but we recovered and rebuilt. And then I turned over my career over to retail lending and became a retail loan officer with Prospect Mortgage. And
I remember them.
Yeah,
Are
that
they
was,
I don't even know. Are they still around?
No, they
I
were
don't think
bought,
so.
I think, probably by Caliber.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, I didn't meet you at Prospect, but I remember that name. That's why I was like,
Yeah.
wait.
And it was great because there was a bunch of the WAMU retail folks that were in Roseville worked at Prospect Mortgage, led by Ed Vaccaro, who actually was my boss several times. And, I said, hey, I've never done retail, but I've called on mortgage brokers for 12 years. I know how to structure business, and I can do this. And they, took a leap of faith and said, yeah, let's do it. Come on board. And fortunately, during that time, there was a lot of foreclosures and short sales and things. And I was
And what year was this?
2009.
9. Okay. Oh, so shortly after you'd gotten.
Yeah, you were still in school. But
I think I was a junior in high school.
yeah. But it was great, and I built up my career again. But, I had to now call on realtors and talk to the customer directly on the phone. And it was just, it was the same, but it was very different. And I remember that first time I had to call a retail customer that wanted to put an offer on a foreclosure home that we, were partnered with the asset manager. And I was so nervous. And I was like, why am I nervous? Right. I have spoken in front of, brokers. I've done training presentations and all of this stuff for years. But the first time I had to pick up the phone and call these clients directly, I was like, oh my God. But then I'm like, well, I'm the mortgage professional.
Yeah.
They're the consumer. And it was fine, but it was that initial call. I'll never forget it.
It's probably like the pressure because at that point, before you're working with like you're not working with the actual client, so you don't get to, it's not all on you, right? You're like, okay, this is make or break. If I don't get this loan done for these people, they don't get this house. So maybe that pressure of like, because you care. You're like, hey, I want to make sure this gets done. I was the same way. When you're talking to people and you're like, we're talking about insuring or getting a loan on the biggest purchase they'll ever make. There's no pressure. There's a lot of pressure. It's nerve wracking. But I mean, that was how many years ago? 2009.
Yeah, that was 2009, and then
clearly you've done well since then.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity. Prospect was great, and then I got to work with a wonderful group of people that I stayed with for about 8 years at several companies, Bank Home Loans, and
that's where we met. Yep.
Yeah, that was great over on the Roseville side, and being that I live on the 50 side in Fair Oaks, and was just kind of looking for just a little bit of change. I just felt like, there was something missing there. And I kind of wanted just kind of a new, I don't know, not so much a new start, but I just needed to tweak something. My life at the time, I had recently split up with my husband, and after 20 years, and that was fine. I got through that, but something was missing. And then Donitza was just kind of like knocking on my door and checking on me, like, how you doing, friend? Let's get together. And then she's like, I landed at this great company and this is home. And when she says that to me, I know it's from the heart and completely sincere.
Yeah, because she was at another company for quite some time. So
she was.
I remember even for her to make the move here was huge. So it's like you knew something had to have been right if she was moving.
Yeah. And, with the other group of people I worked with, I learned so much. I had wonderful years. And not to say that wasn't great, but I needed to tweak a little something in my life. And this was just an opportunity. And upon my job interview, Don Burton flew down along with Todd Miles, who's my regional manager, and met me and another person here at the office. And when they left, I was like, wow, that was the owner of the company, came to interview me. And I felt very fortunate to hear from the top, really the culture and from his heart, what he believes in and serving the customer. And then we went to up to the Paradise Fires, and he sponsored a really big event, busloads of people. We went up there as volunteers. We took.
I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah. We collected Christmas stockings, and I think we made 500 stockings for adults and children, and put needed items in there and gift cards. And then we all kind of caravanned up there, met in Chico, went to Costco, bought a ton of food. They'd already pre-ordered and everything. And then we drove to Paradise, and I'll tell you what, I've never been in a war zone before, but that's what it looked like to me. Yeah. It was very, very devastating, and really, really hit me hard. And, driving through the town and seeing everything gone but the chimney, yet they went back and hung their stockings on it. Aww. And that just, hit home.
Chills.
I know, me too. I just got chills again too.
Yeah.
And then we went to this church in Magalia, which is a little small town outside of Chico, and served these 500 people, and their pastor spoke, and we served lunch, and they asked us really just intermingle with these folks, just go sit with them at their tables. And I sat there with, a couple of different families and a couple who had just rebuilt from the Santa Rosa fire up there. And then this house burned too. And it just crushed me. But, I was just there, and the lady started crying, and I just gave her the biggest hug. And I was like, this is real. These people have gone through just devastation. But what was great was, I looked then at Donitza and I said, I'm sold. Yeah. If we're going to do these kind of philanthropy kind of activities and events and just helping the community, we don't even have a branch in Paradise.
I was going to say, is there a branch there? Yeah.
No, we paired up with this organization, and, we a lot of volunteers and just up there to help and just show that we cared and the support. So that was right before Christmas. And then I came on January 2nd.
You're like, this, yep, I want to be.
Yeah, it was just, it really touched me. And I just thought, well, if I'm looking for a little something in my life, going through hard time, divorce isn't easy.
Right.
I turned to starting to go to church again back then. That was, 4 years ago now. And just making some changes in my life. The kids were growing up, empty nesting. I've got my dogs at home.
Yeah,
and just realizing that there were some things in my life that, maybe let me take a step back and evaluate some things. And, I've made some changes in the positive direction, and just am really happy now, and I'm feeling fulfilled in my life.
And I mean, it all comes with, hard work and dedication. And I know you've been working out and eating healthy, and it all it all works itself out. When you're going through a tough time, you're like, this is really hard, and this is something I don't want to be going through. And then when you come out the other side of it, you're like, okay, this is why this happened. Now you're doing amazing at your job and you're working out, you're taking care of yourself, you're going to church and you're feeling so great. It's like, what more can you ask for, right? It's kind of one of those things. My mom and I talk about this a lot.
Well, there's one thing missing.
Oh yeah, about that. maybe that'll come.
Yeah.
Christmas, right?
But I have a great, great group of friends, wonderful family. Blessed that my family's healthy.
Right.
My parents are all still here, all 4 of them. I'm just, my mindset is very positive and focused. And, right now really wanting to focus on my career and growing that.
Right. And building your team, and which you're doing successfully. It's cool to see it because, I mean, when I met you, you were a single loan officer. You had, I think, an assistant at the loan officer assistant at the time, but then now fast forward 8 years, it's like now you're building this team and you're doing these things, and it makes sense. It's like every loan officer I talk to, we talk about this, like trying to perfect having a team, right? It's so hard because it's like, how do you trust somebody to really take care of your business while you go out and do what you're good at, which is socializing, talking to people, going and volunteering places and like getting to know people. But then how do you trust somebody to really do your business, right? It's like
hard to let go.
Yeah, it's hard to let go and not be like, okay, I want to like control every little aspect of my business. But the most successful people that I talk to have that. They have a full team that they can say, I'm going on vacation for a week and I don't have to worry that everything's going to keep going if I'm gone. So it's cool to see you're getting there. It's like, it's amazing. It's awesome to see it, coming from 8 years ago when I met you, you're just a single loan officer. I mean, at that time you were still killing it and doing a great business and everything, but it's awesome to see you build your team and do all of that.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me to like, go back to when you first got into retail lending and like, what would you tell yourself that now that you wish you knew? And that's like a fully loaded question. When I ask that, people are always either they like know or they're like, I don't know. Like, what would I do different? Or like, what did I wish I would have known then that you know now? I mean, I guess I know I've had somebody say before, like, obviously what we talked about before we got on the show, saving money, right now it's so busy and we don't know what's going to happen. We don't have a crystal ball. I wish we did. But a lot of people will say, like, I wish I would have saved money.
Yeah, I wish I would have saved money prior to 2008. I mean,
before
we
you
were
got
running,
into retail.
running 100 miles an hour, and all of a sudden it was like, bam, we hit a brick wall. I know now to, pay myself, max out my 401k, put money aside, invest in my home, invest in real estate and things like that nature. But, for me, I've really never been I need that $1,000 purse and I'll never be that because I know that I've got a goal. Well, first off, I think life is more about experiences than things and taking vacations, spending time with loved ones when you haven't maybe gotten together with your cousins in a while. Well, pick up the phone and do a little cousin's day or something like that. But I want to travel and, I had just turned the big 50 a couple weeks back.
It's like hard to imagine because you look amazing.
Thank you. Thanks.
I want to look as good as you.
Well, I appreciate that. My mom's got great skin too. And I think that maybe that's attributing, but and just, living more of a healthy, clean life too. But I really want to travel. And, now that I'm 50, I'm working on my exit strategy already in my brain. And I don't think that when you're younger in this career or any type of career that's commission driven, you really think about that end game. You just think about like, it's great. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to do that, and all this stuff and take my kids to Disneyland 5 times a year, whatever you're doing. But you really got to stop and think, how do I want my my last, say, half, 40% of your life to look like?
Wow, it's weird when you
it is because now it's like, in turning 50, it's a milestone, obviously. It's a big number, but it made me stop and reflect, okay, what's important to me? I would like to retire at 60. I don't want to be doing loans at 65, 70, so I want to have a 10-year exit strategy. That's why I'm building a team right now so I can build up those numbers. And then eventually, slowly, maybe I'll start phasing out and these people on the team will start doing more and taking a bigger piece of the pie. And but I want to travel, and I'm actually going to the Mediterranean next year. Oh my gosh. For a couple of weeks.
Post I'm going pictures. I'll live through you.
I know, and I just am really realizing that you've got to stop and take a breather. See the world. I've never been to Europe. I've traveled quite a bit. I've been to South America. I've been to Bora Bora. I've been to Canada and Mexico a million times and stuff, but I've never been to Europe, and I've always wanted to go. And so next year I'm going on a trip with it's like 30 women in this women's traveling group.
Gosh, that sounds
And
amazing.
we're going on a 10-day Mediterranean cruise, and then we're going to go a little early and stay a little late so we can see a little bit more of the area and hop over to Greece for a couple of days. And, 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have booked that trip for myself.
Right.
But this is something that I've booked a year in advance. It'll be paid for before I leave. And it's just going to be something that's for me.
Right. Which you deserve. I mean, after the last 2 years we've all had of just constant work. It's been so incredibly busy. You deserve it, right?
Yeah. And when you've got kids, you're working for them. You're making sure that they're taken care of. You're making sure you're at every soccer game on those sidelines and everything. But you're a sideline person for a big chunk of time.
Yes.
And then your kids, they're prepping for college, and then they're out the door, and you're like, oh, now what?
Yeah.
And it's
what do I like to do?
To focus on yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't think people take the time enough to just stop, slow down, take a breather, do some yoga, do some meditation, whatever you need to do. Slow your body and your brain down a little bit, because the last thing you want to do is just work, and then retire at 65 and then not be healthy, then to travel or do whatever you want to do. Or maybe you still want to be a snow skier or a golfer. You're
not able to because you didn't take care of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and my husband and I talk about that all the time, is like, putting ourselves first, which sounds selfish, but it's like not. When I had Kennedy, I was like, I'll worry about exercising and eating clean later. It's fine. And then I had Kason, and it's like, okay, I'm like 50 pounds overweight from what I feel is good for me. Well, not now, but before I started working out. And I'm like, I need to focus on myself, because I'm going to be the best version of myself, is the best mom I can be for my kids. And I think a lot of parents forget that. And it's easy to be like, we're going to run through the Carl's Jr. drive-thru. What do you want? For us, I'm like, yeah, we'll do that in moderation. That's fine. But we also have to make sure to take care of ourselves, because at the end of the day, this job takes a lot from us. It's exhausting. It's a lot. You are go 24/7. You don't really have time to stop. And then add being a parent on top of that. You're like, okay, when do I have time for myself?
Exactly.
So my time is 5 a.m. till about 7 when my kids wake up.
Yeah.
It's important. I'm glad you brought that up, because no one has ever said that on here. Like, taking care of yourself is so important.
It is. And trying to get enough sleep. I know I don't get nearly enough sleep. I'm up early. I hit the gym usually first thing in the morning, and then I'm going at work, and then I go home. I've got to take care of the house and the dogs and everything, and make some dinner and what have you. And then I'll catch myself, Netflix, and before I know it, I'm on, episode 4 of a show, and it's midnight, and I've got to turn around and get up at 5 the next day. So try to get some sleep. That's what I'm really going to focus on now, because I've, the other aspects of health and exercise, I'm really working towards my goals. I've done really well this year. I've been working out with a trainer all year, and that has just been amazing for me, because she pushes me, and if you're accountable. For me, it's worth every penny, to do that. But I've got to get more sleep. And just really live a balanced life. There's, so much time we put into work in our career, but you've got to be able to still do the things that you love, whether it's sports, maybe you still want to play soccer or basketball, when you're 50, you've really got to take care of your body, mind, and spirit and everything, and just try to live a balanced life to be successful. If you want to live to see your grandkids, on the soccer field,
do, right?
You've got to really take care of yourself. And, but in this industry, just going back to work, it's amazing. I love helping people. I do what I do because I love putting people into homes. I love how grateful they are. I love sending them their thank you gift, and they call me and go, oh my gosh, I've never, this is amazing.
I've seen them before on your desk. I'm like, that's so awesome.
Yeah. I like the great cutting boards or what have you, or pizza boards or whatever we're going to do for the holidays. And it's just fun. It's wonderful working with people. I'm a people person. I'm extroverted to some degree, and talking to people and helping people is just something I'm very passionate about, and just really, really grateful for.
And it proves in your work. You've done a great job these last 8 years I've known you. It's just amazing to see you keep growing. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about like the market, what's going on, current times. I know we've touched on, how insanely busy these last few years have been, but kind of what you foresee happening in the next couple of years. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
All right. Thanks.
All right, we are back, and I'm excited to kind of get your take on the current market. I know we talk to people about every week or every other week, it seems like, about what's going on in the industry, what's happened this last, really year and a half, 2 years with COVID and all of that, and kind of what, if you had a crystal ball, what would you imagine would happen in the next 6 to 8 months? Because it's a fully loaded question, and I always tell people, like, you don't have to say, like, interest rates are going to be 4%, but kind of a general idea of like what's happened the last year or so and kind of where you see the market going.
Yeah. Well, of course we've been blessed with lowest rates ever since I've been doing loans. So there was a ton of, there's a huge refi boom, obviously. So many people did like rate and term refis or maybe a little bit of cash out, consolidating their first and seconds, maybe thirds if they did some down payment assistance. So, those people that were trying to get that lower rate, lower payment, most of them have already refied. Mm-hmm. So if that's your big book of business, you've got to then replace it, obviously. Right. There's still, the rates, I think next year, we're heading for the fours. They've already predicted it. Mm-hmm. So, 4% is not a bad rate, but when the consumer or all they've seen for the last couple of years is twos, maybe three, for them, it's a huge shocker. But, this is what happens. We can't stay this low forever. So rates will go up. I still think there's a big market for like debt consolidation. There's still people with debt. There's people that were off work, due to COVID, and maybe they racked up some credit cards. They still should take advantage of the equity in their homes to, pull all those payments together. It's very hard for someone to pay off $20,000 of consumer credit card debt, in a decent amount of time. Right. It's just, unless they've got these huge bonuses and things, but your average person that's living paycheck to paycheck can't do it. No. They're living paycheck to that would be a situation where it'd be good maybe to tap the equity in your home. Now, people that were doing that, before the Great Recession, they were tapping their homes to 100%. Now, that is not advised by me, or I don't think any mortgage professional. But if you've got decent equity in your home and you've got a lot of credit card debt you've racked up, get rid of it, start fresh, start cleanly, and then make additional principal reduction payments once you've got those other payments out of the way. Mm-hmm. High interest rate credit cards are just like, they're terrible. Yeah. But everyone's got one. Even your Amazon Prime card's like 25%.
Yeah. You're like, I better pay that off every month.
Yeah. Don't pay interest on toilet paper. That's silly.
Yeah, that's silly. If you're going to pay interest, make it fun.
Yeah. So, really where we left with, we are, we're a purchase money lender, and everyone should be focused on purchases. Purchases lead to a larger database. They lead to working with more realtors. It creates more, generates more business for you throughout your career. So you've got to focus on the buyer, and you got to focus on agents. What can you do for agents? Help them with their marketing, help them with farming, offer to go work open houses with them, which I have done since day one at Prospect Mortgage. I was an open house girl.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that, and just adding value to them. These agents are struggling because they're still, inventory's still low. Right. The builders can't build fast enough. The material can't get here to, our shores fast enough so we've got to just look to see who can you help. We also, fortunately, I've done a lot of renovation loans in the past, and I'm really going to tap into that too, because there are houses out there that just need some TLC, and we can build in the, the improvements into it if the contractors can get their material. But
I was going to say, or if they're available.
Those are all the work's done post-close. So, we've got a lot of products like that. We have construction loans. The tools that we have for realtors, I'm really excited to go out and hit the streets with. Now that everyone's offices are open back up again, it's going to be much easier to get that face-to-face time. And that's what counts. You can call and Zoom and all that stuff, but really getting into a realtor's office and presenting what you can do to help them build their business, what you can do to help their buyers' offers become accepted. Right. That's what's bringing value, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on, and my team as well. And, you know, growing the office, you know, we're always looking for wonderful people to join our team. And I'll probably be doing a little bit of recruiting too. But, you know, I've got my 10-year plan. So
yeah, you're like,
my
here's what
focus
I
is
want to
going to
do.
be on, you know, building the pipeline and building all my team's pipelines first, and training. You know, we've got great products. There's new things coming out. You know, it seems like every month something new is tweaked and our loan amounts are now higher. And
It feels like it happens every day.
and, you know, and we still do a lot of down payment assistance if they need it. So I think that there's still a lot of business to be had, but we have to work a little bit smarter. And, you know, in particular, like 2020, you know, I was in my dining room with my monitor set up and stuff, and my phone was just ringing.
Right.
It's different now.
Right.
We've got to get back to getting out in the field, calling on offices, meeting more people. You know, those new realtors, they need some coaching, you know, on the mortgage side too. So definitely, and I love doing education for people. I've always kind of been an advocate of that. And if anybody that I can help, and then obviously tapping into your own database,
Which we were talking
working
about.
that CRM. And like I just said, you know, I don't even have all my family members in my CRM.
Right.
Like, how silly is that? I stopped. We were talking about CRMs about, after I came back from Hawaii. And the top producers say, work your database and, you know, make those calls. Don't be afraid to ask for a referral. Do any of your friends and family or anybody else, you know, need real estate or mortgage needs, you know, pick up the phone.
They're going to want to help you when you ask it.
Because if you're not working your database, somebody else is.
Totally.
And that's the key. You want those customers for life. And, you know, there's always going to be that, you know, .com company that's going to come in and try to swoop them. And, you know, they
be
typically
successful.
can offer a lower rate, but they don't provide an office like this.
Right.
And the education and the training and the tools and that customer service. You know, very few borrowers are just completely fit in the box, vanilla, nothing tweaked about their income, assets, credit, or maybe they had time off for COVID. And now you've got to maybe average their income. You know, nothing's cookie cutter anymore because people aren't cookie cutter. Everyone's different. Everyone has a story.
Right.
And so I think that working with a local lender who will sit down and hear your story, create a great scenario, create a great, you know, cover letter to your underwriter, things of that nature, like, you know, really telling their story, providing additional documentation, making your company believe in these people because you believe in them.
Right.
You know,
you're like,
they could have
here's
been
what
laid
they
off
have.
and had to start a new career, but they're still good people that want to make their mortgage payments.
Right.
So, you know, working with those kind of folks that need a little bit more of a helping hand or got behind on debt and now their credit scores possibly have tanked. You know, I'm happy to work with people on rebuilding credit, and I know how to do that. I've got the tools to do it. So, you know, for me, it's definitely a personal business, and best thing for me is meeting with people face to face.
Yeah, getting to know them. And you nailed it on the head about like working your database and your CRM. We just had this conversation, like insurance and mortgage are like the two top advertised, like they target people more than anybody. They spend billions of dollars to target, you know, our customers, people we've worked so hard to keep. So you're right. It's like making sure you pour into the people that you know, because those are the people, they've already done business with you. They know you do a good job, but gosh, they see that rocket, whatever on the TV and they're like, well, that looks interesting. You just put 2 pieces of information and you get a loan.
1%.
This is awesome. Yeah. 1% loan. This is great. So I think it's great that you said that because it's so true. And talking a little bit about, you know, helping people, and that's kind of your passion, and teaching people and educating people. What's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you? I know you're on like social media, but is it typically by phone, or what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, phone, email, text. I've had the same cell phone number since I think it was like 1993, 4 or something like that. 916-761-5605.
There you go.
Same number I've always had.
That's awesome.
Kristen Hewitt, Evergreen Home Loans. I am on my website's public, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really appreciate being able to share my story with you. It was
Yeah, I'm
great.
so glad you got to come on. It was cool. Just kind of, I didn't know that's why you got in the industry. So I was like, gosh, I've known you for a long time. I don't think I ever knew that.
Thanks,
so,
Mom.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom, for providing you a great life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Really thank you for everybody who's listening. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.
All right. Sounds great. And happy holidays.
Yes. Happy holidays.
All right.